Hey, good morning. It's Mark here with another morning rant. It's I don't know if you can see that, but it's 3:30. I like this this backdrop here, but it drains the hell out of my battery. I still like it though. Hey, forgive me. Of course, it's not sore or I don't have a cold or anything. It's just that throat's dry right now. So I'm not trying to sound like Barry White on purpose, but does sound good though, don't it? But here we are, Black History Month. Some black folk agree or disagree whether or not we should have a Black History Month. I remember the famous quote from what's his name? Morgan Freeman, who doesn't feel like our history should be relegated to a month, which I understand. But here we are, and what is considered Black History Month, and I reported a couple of days ago how Florida is trying to pass a law that will restrict teachers from teaching anything about Black history or anything about America that will hurt the feelings of white people. I don't know if they passed that law yet, but I do know it's in the works. Ron DeSantis is out there, and then on top of that, you got white supremacists that are springing up and protesting. I know it started out on TikTok. I saw it on TikTok how these guys in Florida, they were protesting and doing their Nazi stuff at a corner at a stoplight, and they end up beating up a Jewish kid, and things like that. Well, Ron DeSantis went out, and instead of addressing the Nazis, he berated Democrats for trying to make this a political issue. The reporter just asked him what does he feel about these Nazis, which is a softball answer to be given. Like, hey, Nazis shouldn't be here. We should investigate, whatever. But not only that, and I'm getting most of my reporting from MSNBC, CNN, things like that, because those shows and Dr. Rashad Ritchie, and I want to say Roland Martin reported on this stuff too. So you have this groundswell of racism, and black folk know. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's a joke out there. Blackfish and a whitefish, they meet up, and the blackfish says to the whitefish, "Hey, nice water we're having today." Whitefish says, "What water?" And what that means is, we understand, the black man, the black fish understands that the world that they're in is not a world that's conducive to them. Yes, they're both fish, but the black fish understand that the world that they're in was not built for them. The white fish doesn't understand, doesn't know that they're even in a system. So that's how you get the dichotomy. That's where you get white people saying, remember the Holocaust, but forget slavery. Remember the Holocaust, but slavery was in the past. Remember the Holocaust, but no white person alive owned slaves. I say all that to say this. Ron DeSantis in Florida, they're trying to pass a law to make sure that white people's feelings are not hurt when it comes to American history. And it's just American history. It's just the truth of America. It doesn't stop you from loving America. It just says, this is what went on in America. This is the truth of America. That's what my thesis was on. My thesis for my master's was, and that was a little humble brag, but my master's thesis was on exposing the truth of America. The Texas Revolutionary War wasn't about freedom and independence from Texas. for Texas. It was about stealing Texas from Mexico. Stealing California and Arizona and New Mexico from Mexico. They took Santa Anna, held him hostage, and made him sign that declaration to give up that land. In 1836, Mexico said, we will no longer have slaves in our country. What was their country? Present-day Mexico. It was Texas. It was Arizona. It was parts of Colorado. It was parts of Nevada. It was California. And it was Arizona. I think I said those. But all of that. The United States was one half of North America. Mexico was the other half. White people started to settle in, and Mexicans welcomed them. Because for a number of reasons. They needed help fighting off the natives. And they needed help cultivating the land. So yeah, white man, come on in, settle our land. But there are two things you got to do. You have to learn Spanish. You have to become a citizen of Mexico. And you have to renounce your United States citizenship. It was in their law, and they agreed to it. So every American, Sam Houston, and some other people, Sam Houston and his son, and a lot of other people, they agreed to renounce their American citizenship to live in Texas. But then they said, hey, y'all can't bring your slaves. What? Independence. We want freedom. And then go listen to James K. Polk. But anyway, I say all that stuff to say this. This is so sad, people. And this is even more sad. All right. I can't show it right now, and I'm not going to try to fix it. But I want you guys to look this up. This is from MSN.com. A Texas parent is demanding a Michelle Obama biography be pulled from schools because they said it will make white girls feel ashamed. This is reported by Katie Bailovic. And please forgive me, Miss Bailovic, if I pronounced your last name wrong. A Texas parent demanded a Michelle Obama biography be pulled from schools because they said it would make white girls feel ashamed. A Texas parent called for a book about Michelle Obama be pulled from schools. NBC News reported the parent said it unfairly depicted Trump as a bully and would make white girls feel ashamed. Some conservatives say the books depicting race, sexuality, gender should be kept out of schools. A parent in Texas called for a children's biography about former First Lady, not her book Becoming, but a children's version of her biography about former First Lady Michelle Obama to be pulled from school libraries because they viewed it as unfair to President Donald Trump. Excuse me. The Katy, Texas parent took issue with a book titled Michelle Obama, Political Icon by Heather E. Swartz, saying it unfairly depicted Trump as a bully, according to NBC News, which on Wednesday published a list of 50 books that parents in Texas have asked schools to have removed. The request came as books depicting race, sexuality, gender have faced heightened scrutiny from conservatives in the U.S., with many demanding certain titles be pulled from school libraries. The parents in Katy, Texas, who have not been named in CNN NBC's report, said the book about Obama gave the impression that if you sound like a white girl, you should be ashamed of yourself. In a statement to Insider, Schwartz said she was shocked that someone wanted to ban her book because it is a nonfiction book that doesn't strike me as at all controversial. Maria Corrales de Pita, a spokesperson for the Katy Independent School District, told Insider the district reviewed the book after the complaint and determined it would not be removed. Any book that is challenged is reviewed by the district, even if one parent submits a complaint. We could have gotten hundreds of requests, and it would have gone through the same process. So, yeah, they're just going through some other stuff. So, congrats to the school board of Katy, Texas, for saying that, no, we're not going to remove the book. But it's starting. It's starting. And if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. It's starting. It comes out as, first, we're gonna not teach the truth. Now, mind you, go back and look at old history books. And I'm in the process right now of trying to purchase old school history books from like Alabama, Georgia, Florida, whatever. Go back and look at old history books from like the 1970s and 60s and 50s. And look at how they taught American history. Go back and read some of these books back here and how they taught American history and how they excused American history, how they excused Thomas Jefferson for owning slaves and how they excused George Washington for owning slaves. Oh, they were just citizens of their time and they didn't understand that slavery was wrong. Well, I call bull crap to that, because even during their time, there were people advocating against slavery. Even during George Washington's time. Benjamin Franklin, and I'm giving you guys famous names because if I give you some obscure name, you probably wouldn't understand it. Not saying that you're dumb, but I'm just saying. So Benjamin Franklin, who made some of his money, not all, but he started making some of his money in the slave trade. Finally got out of the slave trade and became an advocate for slavery, or well, an advocate against slavery. But he always regretted, and this is what some of the biographies are saying, and some of his quoted text, he always regretted how he made his money in the beginning on slavery. And he was the signature that was put in Congress, in the Continental Congress, that told them you would not forget about slavery in 20 years. Because when they wrote the Constitution, they said, okay, we're going to keep a small sample of a Fugitive Slave Act in the Constitution, which is critical race theory, putting something in law that said that if a slave ran away from their master, they would be caught. It's in the Constitution, legal in the Constitution. But we're going to put that in there. We're not going to talk about slaves. We'll just say those not free or those in servitude or something like that. But we won't put the word slave in there. So we'll put that fugitive slave law in there. But what we're also going to do is say slave trade. Not slavery, but the interaction of slaves would not be discussed for another 20 years. That gave into 1820. Nope, I'm sorry. Was it 1820 or 1810? Well, regardless, that gave those that were in the slave trade 20 years to make as much money as they can before the slave trade issue was stopped. And around that time, they brought it up because the Constitution told them to. They got rid of slave trade for the most part. They gradually got rid of it, but they still kept slavery. And then you had smugglers. That's what Amistad was all about. They were still trying to smuggle slaves into this country. So the way that American history was taught in schools was them trying to forget what happened to black Americans during that time. We started to enlighten ourselves. We started to awaken a little bit. We started to explain, hey, George Washington owned slaves and he didn't regret owning slaves. When we try to teach that, it's a problem now. So now what they're doing is they're trying to go back and say, yep, this is making white people feel bad. It's making them feel bad. One of the reasons you learn about white history all school year. All school year you learn about white history. And for 30 days or less than 30 days, you get to sit there and learn about Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, Dr. King, the generic African Americans. Not saying that they're generic in terms of what they did, because they did extraordinary things, but some of the main issues, some of the main people in the 1900s, but you don't get to learn about Madam C.J. Walker, the first black millionaire. You learn about George Washington Carver and his inventions with the peanut. But you don't learn about the guy that invented the stoplight. You don't learn about the guy that invented the filament that Thomas Edison used to create the goddamn light bulb. You don't learn about, you barely learn about Chuck Berry and Little Richard, who were like some of the foundations of rock and roll. You can't read about Ike Turner, who's been accused of physically abusing Tina Turner, but was also a founding member of rock and roll. You don't get to learn about the Delta Blues guys and you read about W.C. Handy, especially in Alabama. You read about W.C. Handy, who named himself Father of the Blues, but you don't listen to how the blues started on the slave plantations, and how Follow the Drinking Gourd was a song sung by slaves for runaway slaves to tell these slaves to follow the North Star. But it hurts their feelings. Don't discuss Michelle Obama and how she may have felt growing up as a black girl in the 60s and 70s. Don't talk about that. It's going to hurt white folks' feelings. Their feelings are going to be hurt. We don't learn about Dr. Joy DeGruy, who's telling you about who's giving you the truth of racism in America, and how some medical marvels were practiced on black children and black women, and how I don't think the stirrup is invented by a black person. But there was this thing that women use, that they use on women when they do their vaginal inspections, that was first tested on black slaves. They don't tell you that they take these little sharp metal objects and poked holes in the soft spot of slave children, hoping that will cure them of some shit. And when the slave child died, that was it. They don't tell you about the laws that were invented that excused white women from beating children to death, because if a child didn't do what they were supposed to have done, the white woman would beat the child to death. And so they came out with a law that said, if a child is killed during the correction, that's not a murder. We don't learn about Wilmington, North Carolina. We don't learn about Rosewood. We don't learn about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and how every time they said black folk need to be segregated, and we tried to segregate and have our own society, they burned the shit down. We don't learn about that in school because it makes white folk feel bad. God forbid they feel bad. We can learn about the struggles of a black woman who's descendants of a slave that became the husband of a man who ran for the White House and won, and now you have a descendant of a slave that's a first lady. We can't learn that. It makes white folk feel bad. God forbid they feel bad. We don't learn about Dr. Joy DeGruy, which I mentioned before, and how she has said that she has came up with the term post-traumatic slave syndrome, where after they freed the slaves, these slaves never got any counseling. They never got any psychotherapy analysis. They were never sat down and said, hey, how are you feeling? Let's try to get you straight. Let's try to get you into society. No, they came up with vagrancy laws to put black folk back on the goddamn farm. They came up with sharecropping, to where they would loan out the materials for farming, and then they would undercut the crop report to make the black man stay in debt and continue to sharecrop, so he was forever in another slavery. They can't teach that because it makes white folk feel bad. God forbid they feel bad. I don't want to hurt no white folks' feelings. GTFOH. GTFOH. But I'm going to leave it at that, man. I'm at 20. I can go another hour, man. But let me know what you guys think. It is 3:52. I don't know why I'm waking up so early, man, but it is what it is. I will see you guys on the next one, all right? Y'all take care. I'm out.